Okay, well, good morning, everybody. And Luke, thank you very much for those comments, for the perspective that you've offered on what's happening in the world outside of Central New York. And I think it's really important for all of us as we think about what's ahead here in the year 2025 for our region to understand what's happening in the rest of the world, because increasingly, what happens here in Central New York matters to the rest of the world, right? We've talked about that. And so what matters, what's happening in the rest of the world also matters to us, how we choose to make investments here in our region. So I want to start just very quickly with a special thank you to our partners at St. Joseph's Health and M&T Bank for your support and sponsorship, not only of this event, but for so much of the work that we do here in the region. You all are both really remarkable partners, and we appreciate all of the time and the energy and the resources that you provide to helping move our regional economy forward. I also just want to take a moment to acknowledge my family and our board and our members, many of you who are here today, and obviously our incredible staff at CenterState CEO that work so hard to put events like these on for our community and for all of you. Now, I am remarkably excited about 2025. I think it's going to be a remarkable year for this region. Everything that Luke just said resonates at a national and international level. But we have a unique opportunity here in this region to do something special. And personally, I find it exhilarating, right? In a period where we have seen our economic chutes and ladders here in our own region, the opportunity to climb that ladder more quickly is right in front of us. That is really the task at hand for everybody here in this room. You know, on one hand, as you heard Luke say, the economy is largely expected to continue its expansion. But there are these indicators out there of slower growth in some sectors, maybe significant uncertainty that we have to be mindful of. And obviously, a huge concern for all of you and for us here in the region is any projected decrease in demand for labor, things that could trip us up and our national economy up for those that are not paying close attention. Now, the good news for all of us here in this room is that this is the kind of uncertainty that we have had to manage through before. This isn't new to us. And we have been able to stay focused on our strategy and to be vigilant for signs of trouble that might dictate a change in our approach. That's sort of been our regional superpower. By working together, by sharing information, by collaborating, by partnering, we're able to head off some of the potential challenges that we might face. This is what we have done best, and it happens and it works at this scale because we're able to work together. Now, that agility that we've brought into so much of our civic life over the course of the last several decades is going to be even more essential in 2025 as we start to take our place as a more rapidly growing community. And in a lot of respects, the challenges that we are facing are no less significant than the ones we already overcome. And in some cases, challenges might even be bigger, and they may be even harder to achieve, some of the things we've done over the course of the last few decades. But what I see and I feel and I experience in my conversations with all of you all around this region is that Central New York is replete with a new level of confidence and optimism and belief in itself, which is a beautiful thing. And not just hope, but a prideful self-assuredness, maybe, that this is our moment to shine. This is our moment to shine. Now, this sentiment that I just articulated, this is undoubtedly the headline from this year's economic forecast. The high expectations for growth that our forecasters felt in 2024 were largely achieved. And expectations for growth this year are even higher than they were last year. These aren't our expectations for growth. These are your expectations for growth that all of you have shared with us. In fact, 86% describe Central New York's 2025 outlook as good or excellent. Think about that. 86% describe Central New York's 2025 economic outlook as good or excellent. Imagine what that number was just a few. 73% say the strength of their business in 2025 is expected to be above average or excellent. 45% expect to increase capital expenditures, something that Luke touched on some of the reasons why in our public policy systems. 63% expect an increase in jobs and hiring in 2025, an 8% increase over 2024. 56% expect to expand their products and services this year, and 77% of you expect sales or revenues to increase in 2025. Now, the responses from our forecasters are truly among the strongest we have ever recorded and represent a clear shift in business leader sentiment. No longer afraid to dream, there's this new real expectation of a brighter future for our region and a growing belief that progress will be felt in all sectors of our community. Now, large-scale changes in how people are feeling don't typically manifest from thin air, right? People express these sentiments for a reason. They tend to believe them, they feel them, they see them. They're a product of that seeing and that experience right here in Central New York. Micron, obviously a big topic of conversation for our region. Micron's given us great reason for optimism as we enter 2025 by crossing two major milestones at the end of last year. First, they executed on their CHIPS and Science Act, which unlocks billions of dollars of federal support for the construction of the first fabs in Clay. And second, they have submitted their preliminary draft environmental impact statement, both to Onondaga County IDA and to the Federal CHIPS Program Office, which is a critical step to prepare this report for public comment and review, which will happen later this year. Now, let there be no mistake about the monumental undertaking involved in these environmental reviews. I've heard many people ask questions about, hey, why is this taking so long? This should be moving faster. Is the delay a sign of concern? How quickly? When is this going to happen? When will shovel be in the ground? I just want to take a moment from the stage to acknowledge we're talking more than 10,000 pages of data and analysis and findings and recommendations for the largest industrial project that we've undertaken in this country's history. Right? This is no small undertaking. There's nothing about this work that's going on right now that is glamorous. It's just brutally hard work that needs to be done, and it has to be done extremely well the very first time. So I would like to just take a moment right now to acknowledge and thank all of the partners involved, from Micron, who works diligently, and their army of consultants that they've engaged, to the entire team at Onondaga County and the Industrial Development Agency, and all of the agencies within the state and the federal government. Most people will never see the effort involved and the investment in the personal sacrifice that is taking place right now in this large-scale environmental review process. But I do not want that to go unacknowledged from this stage, from this group, because it has a massive and material impact on the future of our region. So please, let's give all of our partners involved in this process a round of applause. Now, these milestones are not just signs of progress to our community, but they are also signals to the semiconductor industry and the supply chain as well, something Luke touched on, the impact of policy on supply chain. And each time Micron clears a new hurdle, conversations with potential suppliers heat up, ratchet up a notch. They see what we see. The project is happening, it's going to be huge, and it's something that they need and want to be a part of for their own businesses. And as Micron's timeline becomes more clear, these suppliers are adjusting their own decision-making and accelerating efforts to join Micron right here in Central New York. Now, beyond Micron, there's a lot to be excited about. Our economic development pipeline currently consists of more than 60 projects, representing more than 9,000 new jobs and over $6 billion of prospective capital investment. And if Luke's forecast proves to be as right for next year as it was for this year, which we fully anticipate it will be, this pipeline is going to continue to grow throughout the year. More and more opportunities will find themselves on our regional doorstep. Now, already in just a few short months since the New York Smart Eye Corridor was named the first Tech Hub Award winner in the country and the only tech hub in the nation focused on semiconductors, we've seen an uptick in investments. First, at the end of last year, TTM announced it's investing up to $130 million for its new manufacturing facility in DeWitt that will create more than 400 jobs. I drove down Fly Road the other day, had a chance to see the construction. It looks remarkable. It's going up so quickly, and some of the most sophisticated electronic components anywhere in the world are going to be manufactured inside that building in just a few short months. Thanks to all of our partners involved who helped make that happen. Last month, onsemi announced a deal with Empire State Development and New York Creates to acquire the former NextGen facility in DeWitt, which had gone dark. There's lots of hand-wringing about what's going to happen with this facility, and instead of waiting a decade to repurpose it, it was repurposed in a few short months. Why? Because there's demand for investment here in this region. Now, onsemi is an Arizona-based company that makes semiconductor solutions for automotive and industrial applications. And now they are becoming a part of our burgeoning semiconductor industry right here in Central New York. And each of these investments, and those by Micron and Wolfspeed and Global Foundries, help us see and understand how by 2030, 1 in 4 American-made chips are going to be produced within 350 miles of where we sit, making this corridor here in the Northeast United States is the most important semiconductor manufacturing asset anywhere in the United States of America. Now, in many ways, 2024 represent a Syracuse and Central New York's reemergence, maybe, to use a term, on the global stage. Not only winning projects and federal designations, but beginning to flex our new muscles with travel and from other parts of the world. First, in March, there was a trip to Taiwan with County Executive McMahon and Mayor Walsh. Then later last year in the summer, we welcomed visitors from Taiwan and then Japan to build further awareness and understanding about the universe of opportunity in the semiconductor industry and partners right here in this region. And at the end of last year, our partners at the county made another trip across the ocean to Japan as well. Should expect more of that from this region in 2025. Capitalizing on Micron's unprecedented investment is going to continue to be a key theme, not only for us here at CenterState CEO, but for all of our partners in economic development. Now, the same could be said for a lot of this year's forecasters who readily acknowledge the impact that Micron will have on driving growth in 2025 here in this. They see emerging opportunities related to Micron in construction trades and advanced manufacturing, engineering, housing, education, tourism, virtually every sector of our regional economy. In fact, 71% of our forecasters see themselves as beneficiaries of the anticipated growth of Central New York's technology economy. New business formations are another bright spot for our region. In 2023, there were 6,430 business formation applications in Central New York, up nearly 5% from 2022, at a period where new business formations across the state and around the country are beginning to taper off post-pandemic. So this remains an exceptional bright spot. Listen, we are the region's Chamber of Commerce. Supporting our small businesses and our entrepreneurs has always been and will always be a focus of our work. And now more than ever, we should be pressing this advantage. Now, fortunately, we are just a few short months away from reopening our brand new incubation and acceleration space where the Tech Garden once. If you haven't driven by recently, just right around the corner from where we sit today, the progress on this building, it taking shape in front of our very eyes, is remarkable. And our team is getting more and more excited about the ability to reopen and share this asset with all of our entrepreneurs here. And as our innovation ecosystem matures, our programming needs to meet the needs of companies that are growing and scaling rapidly. And these companies have, in many cases, huge ambitions for themselves and for our region, and we need to be able to keep pace. We are no longer in the business as we were 20 years ago when we created the Tech Garden of just simply planting seeds. We are, in fact, now cultivating aspiration and inspiration. We are curating and enabling along a full spectrum from ideation from companies and individuals who just have an idea to those that are looking to achieve scaling and exponential growth. So the demands on our organization and on our time are growing exponentially as well. Now, this new innovation hub will be a physical and metaphorical expression for our belief in the power of small businesses and their importance to our regional trajectory. Better recognize their creativity and their innovation, and better equip our team to help every founder answer the fundamental question at the heart of their entrepreneurial journey. Why? Why am I starting this new business? Why am I mortgaging my house? Why am I quitting my job to take on this new initiative, right? Why is that critical question at the heart? And so when we open this new facility this summer, we will also unveil its new name, one that better reflects our aspirations as a community. Our aspirations as a community. Sort of a beautiful thing to think about, isn't it? Be in a position where we feel emboldened enough, safe and secure enough, dream a little bit about the future, to stretch our civic muscles and reach for things that might once have seemed unachievable. You know, this moment demands two things from us, from all the leaders that are right here in this room. First, we have to inspire each other. We have to inspire our friends and our colleagues, our business partners and our neighbors to strive for the absolute very best that we can for this region. And we need to give each other permission to vocalize those aspirations. We don't need to be superstitious anymore. Saying that we want something doesn't mean we won't get it anymore, which has been some of the mentality that we've in the process of shedding, right? I see a few heads nodding. We don't need to be superstitious anymore. We can be bold, and we can be excited, and we can be unafraid. But second, and this is important, no matter what your personal manifestation, when you close your eyes and you think about the future of this region, no matter what that vision is that you have for this region, there are 4 strategic pillars that we have to address that are going to be critical to our ability to succeed and achieve progress. They are talent, which you heard Luke talk about, housing, infrastructure, and then how we care for and include one another in our progress. Incidentally, these 4 areas were top of mind for this year's forecasters. They were among the top challenges and concerns that we heard from just about everybody who responded to the survey. Let's start with talent. In the 5 counties of Central New York, businesses in the advanced manufacturing sector employ roughly 15,000 people, an average annual wage of nearly $90,000. Forecasted demand for all of these jobs in industry in Central New York is going to be nearly 1,200 people, 1,200 workers more than it is in 2020. That's a pretty significant growth, and one that we are going to have to find a way to fill and help our employers manage, or we will miss out on the opportunity of having that payroll circulating in our community. And according to a study by Oxford Economics, there's already a national shortage of technical workers across the entire advanced manufacturing sector, making finding that talent even harder. In fact, 67,000 chip manufacturing jobs across America are at risk of going unfilled by 2030. A plurality of missing workers are for technician roles. Now, I'm sharing this because it's important information for us to know. This is not just true in the semiconductor manufacturing. This isn't just a Micron problem. This is a problem for our entire sector. Many of you who are here in this room, and it demands attention and resources from all of our civic leaders. 78% of you cited the challenge of attracting and retaining the right people for the right positions as a critical impediment to your business in 2025. And 57% say that the talent pool in our region is just too small to find individuals with critical specialized skills. Again, these are the types of shoots that Luke was talking about that have the potential to drag on our economic performance, which is why expanding our efforts to reach hidden talent within our own community is so vital to CenterState CEO's efforts to increase access to career paths for thousands of Central New Yorkers. Now, last year, Central New York named the Central New York Community Foundation. I see my friend Melanie Littlejohn sitting over here right at the front of the room. CenterState CEO and the Idaho Workforce Development Council as intermediaries to help steward $65 million in federal workforce development dollars that were awarded by the Department of Commerce as part of Micron's overall incentive package. Working hand in hand with Micron and dozens of community partners, we will help design strategies to inspire K-12 students to pursue STEM programs, right? Something we've talked with many of you in this room about for years. This includes encouraging enrollment in the new regional STEAM school, which is coming online. The first class, they're taking applications for the first class that'll open this fall. It means developing new skills-based training curriculum and increasing experiential learning and on-the-job training to make a full-throated, full-force effort to build a workforce of the future. And our goal is to demystify these careers in advanced manufacturing and construction and make them available to more of our region's residents while also addressing the workforce barriers such as childcare and transportation. Now, the need for talent is also a driving force behind our work with New York State, which is funding a new network of workforce development centers, including a flagship location here in Syracuse. And I want to take a moment and acknowledge my friend Dan Kalinsky and our partners in Empire State Development that are spearheading this effort. On-Ramp, as the program is known, will help connect New Yorkers from priority populations with careers in high-growth industries like manufacturing and construction. And the Syracuse Center will be both a state-of-the-art training facility and serve as a catalyst to the redevelopment of a strategic, high-impact corridor right here in our city, in the city of Syracuse, with satellite locations across the region to serve both urban and rural residents alike. When complete, we expect that this new center will train and prepare more than 400 of our region's residents for these careers each and every year going forward. Now, uncovering and supporting and attracting talent is just one part of our needed approach. We also need more housing desperately. We cannot underestimate the impact that our current housing shortage is already having on our population and our efforts to attract and retain talent right here in the region. High costs for housing are already causing massive affordability challenges and budget strains for many Central New York households because we have not kept pace with current demand, let alone prepared for future growth. In fact, the median sales price for a home in Central New York in 2014 was $120,000 a year. In 2024, that number was over 200, right? That's an increase of nearly 68%. That's unsustainable for the people in our community, for your workers, for many of you even in this room today. Rents have also climbed similarly, 22% increase in median rents in Syracuse last year alone, one of, if not the fastest rate of rental increases anywhere in the country. We simply need to build more housing. We need to expedite permitting. We need to make room for more density in our communities across Central New York. And the good news, there is good news here, is that permitting for all housing units last year went up by 35%. And permitting for multifamily units went up over 100% year over year in the last 12 months. But to meet our projected demand, 2,500 new units a year, every year for the next 20 years, we don't need to grow our permitting by 100%, we need to grow it by 1,000%. Right? There is still much work that needs to be done. Now, as we build, we also need to be mindful to connect new development with public transit to help move people from where they live to where they work. And across the Syracuse Metro, nearly 160,000 workers and 220,000 jobs are located within a half a mile of transit. Right? Those are big numbers. And yet, because of the lack of frequent services and other impediments, only 2.5% of workers in our metro area use public transportation to commute to work. Maybe not a huge problem today, but as our community grows, as we bring more residents into our community, we have to find ways to better utilize this transportation system, lest we run into the challenges associated with gridlock and sprawl. Right now, today, in 2025, the beginning of the year, there's no high frequency or full day or rush hour service anywhere in our region, but that is about to change. Centro's announced a $35 million BRT, bus rapid transit improvement, and a network redesign that will begin to transform our transit system and make it more accessible and more convenient for riders. Our airport, our gateway to and from the rest of the world, also needs to keep up with the pace of change. Growing passenger and cargo demand, as well as opportunities for Syracuse to lead the way in this new era of advanced air mobility, will require more than $1 billion in upgrades and additions at the airport over the next decade alone. This is an unprecedented scale of investment in our airport that was almost unthinkable 10 or 15 years ago when many of you in this room and CenterState CEO helped lead the charge for the creation of the Regional Airport Authority to professionalize the operations of this airport and give us a chance to meet the needs of a growing community. You heard from Meredith earlier today, and many of our partners in the healthcare world are here in the room. Our healthcare system's under incredible strain. You've seen untold articles on the front page of the newspaper, sensationalized in many respects, but underneath all of that are real challenges and concerns. The number of physicians and dentists and mental health care practitioners in our region is not up to where we need to be. For every 100,000 people we welcome to our community, we will need 100 more doctors and dentists, as well as 300 new mental health care providers here in our region. And just as critical is the need to modernize our medical infrastructure, including our hospital systems. These will need to be expanded to meet the needs of our region going forward, and preparing for that growth is also going to require us to invest in other forms of infrastructure as well, in our power infrastructure, in our water, and our sewer infrastructure. And I just happened to walk to this side of the stage at the point that I put this slide up on the screen. Recently, Constellation, our friends here at Constellation, who were visiting with us this morning, they've just launched a new effort to explore adding a new nuclear reactor at its complex to meet the growing demand for clean energy right here in New York. Because there is a massive pinch point coming as a result of the growth of energy-intensive industries that we've been talking about today and the state's decarbonization mandates. And there is only one solution at scale to solve this problem, and we are proud to support this generational opportunity and investment in carbon-free power production right here in our region in Central New York. Ensuring the availability and the reliability and the affordability of clean power is absolutely fundamentally critical to our ability to fully capitalize on this moment in upstate New York. Now, these investments in our future are bold. They are audacious. They are very expensive, and some of them will be extremely challenging. But you know what? We have to make them. We don't have a choice. And we need to acknowledge openly as we do that, as we find ways to invest billions of dollars in our civic and physical infrastructure, we need to openly acknowledge the backdrop against which these investments are made. And that is that in the city of Syracuse, a shocking 45.8% of our children, 13,000 kids, live in poverty. And poverty isn't just an issue in the city of Syracuse. We know it's an issue that plagues our rural communities as well. These kids are our literal future. And as the parent of a soon-to-be teenager, growing so quick, it is absolutely not lost on me how quickly today's children will transform into our future leaders and to the talent pool for all of you and for our employers. These human beings are our greatest resource. And I implore you, as we think about going about the work of building this community, I implore you to lean in to find ways to bring more people along and to be a part of these solutions. Because we can unequivocally, and we must do better to realize that vision of a region where business thrives and all people prosper. Now, talent, housing, infrastructure, and economic opportunity for all, these are the elements that are critical to our success. Increasing our talent pool means more companies can keep with the pace of growth. More affordable housing improves multiple safety, health, and educational outcomes. Transportation growth will enable us to expand without sprawl, and economic opportunity for all means more people can participate in this growing regional economy. Friends, this is the year. We've played a long and very strategic game for a long time. We have out-hustled and outworked just about the entire field that we compete against. And now, just like for the Buffalo Bills after a grueling but phenomenal win against a very capable Baltimore Ravens team, our reward for winning is what? We get to play another game. We get to play another game. 2025 is right here for us. We get to get up, we get to stand up, we get to leave this room excited, energized, understanding the chutes and ladders in front of us, but knowing full well what our charge is as a region. We need to be ready, we need to work together, we need to be excited, and we need to go out and make 2025 the year of Central New York. Go Buffalo Bills, go Syracuse, go CNY. Thank you.